Good morning and welcome to our virtual general membership meeting. I'm Romeo Arrieta. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Marin Realtors. We have a full agenda today and I look forward to getting to it. But first, we have a little bit of housekeeping notes that I'd like to share. In this webinar format, we have everybody muted by default. And I ask that if you have any questions, please type them in the question and answer feature. We'll do our best to get to them throughout the meeting. We do have a couple of speakers, and so I ask that you ask your questions during that, and we'll get to the questions and answers for the speakers after the speech. I would like to take a moment to thank our three premier sponsors for their continued support of Marin Realtors and this event. They are Mary Jo LaFay of Mutual Omaha Mortgage, Melissa Prandy Property Management, and Rafael Betances from HomeGuard. We'll be inviting them to speak for 2 minutes at various times throughout the program. I ask that you please stay to the end for a giveaway. And you must be digitally present to win. But first, I'd like to turn it over to our president, Chris Backer.
Romeo, thank you so much. And good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sure you guys, like me, are looking outside and seeing a red sun and a lot of smoke. So I guess, no better place to be than inside. And I really appreciate your attendance here. These general membership meetings, if you were at the last one, they have a different feel. I wish I could see you all face to face, but this is the next best thing and that's what we can do. I don't know about you, but this has kind of been the longest, but yet fastest year I've ever been through. We've all had to adapt to, the strange world of ever changing regulations and ways of doing business and being safe. I really appreciate you all for taking the time to join the Zoom meeting this morning. And I hope, we wanted to put together a really good program for you guys. I really would love to have this meeting in person, but, our association, it has to adapt and adjust to our new reality and learn of the couple new tricks. So, but at the same time, doing a broadcast of 100, 150, 200 plus people has its challenges. So I would just ask that you bear with us through this, although I think we are Zoom professionals by now. But, we're going to continue to maintain our community, even if it's a virtual meeting. I understand a lot of you are having a lot of Zoom meetings with other realtors to stay on top of things. So I think it's great. So I do look forward to a time when we can meet again in person and talk one by one in the hallway or catch up on tour. But, as always, I'm continually impressed at how, our members continue to adapt and find a way to make things happen. I'm happy about this meeting because it's about leadership and building bridges during these difficult times. And, so our program today, you're going to be hearing from your congressman, Jared Huffman. And then from the National Association of Realtors, we have President Vince Malta here, who's waiting patiently, and he'll be on later in the program. So we really thank them for being here. And then we'll get to our really important official business and important announcements that, it's really integral that you guys stay for, just so you can see who our officers will be for next year. We have a great slate of candidates and people who are going to really take care of you and be available for you in the years to come as we, continue to navigate through this COVID-19 environment with increasing regulations. And just so you know who to come speak to or send an email to in case you have any issues. So first, I'd like to invite our first sponsor, Melissa Prandy of Prandy Property Management, to say a few words. So I'm happy to introduce. Hi, Melissa. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I believe Romeo just opened you up as a host, so you can turn on your video, and would love to hear from you. Good to see you.
Good morning, President Chris. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Good to see you, Melissa.
It's a pleasure to be sponsoring and to be an active member of the Realtor Association with such professionals. Just a quick update. I know we have just a few minutes. I want to first thank Romeo for his nice call checking in to see how the world of rentals is doing. And I'm happy to report we are extremely busy. What people should know is that we're getting a lot of people from San Francisco. No surprise, I'm sure the realtors that sell are as well. They want single family homes with big yards and more space. So we're seeing that in the rental market. Just a reminder that we never buy or sell at Prandy. We only do rentals and management. So it's important to know. So I hear you saying about leadership and building bridges. I'm so proud. I just finished being president of Rotary of the Mission San Rafael Club, where we gave out $166,000 to our community and beyond. And it was a lot of work every week. So Chris, I can relate to what you're doing as a leader. And we continue to build bridges because we are truly a family-based company and community strong in Marin. So thank you. Give us a call. We love to work with professionals and realtors in the community. I look forward to this program today. Thank you. And my son, Matt, is on the line as well. And he is always available for new business, and you can get him on email and text. Thank you and have a good meeting.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Yeah, I've exchanged some emails with Matt Voorhees. He's the vice president of Prandy Properties, and he's just been able to offer some quick insight about, we all feel like we've heard that the rental market is strong because of everyone coming out of the city, and it's just nice to have a resource like Prandy to just be available, just to, just as, hey, just wanted to keep you in the loop. So thank you so much. You've been really helpful.
Anytime.
Okay, excellent. So moving on, I'm excited to provide this update from Washington, D.C. We have our Congressman Jared Huffman on the line here. I believe Romeo's getting him set up. So, before I start here, I will just ask once again, if you do have a question, please put that in the Q&A section, the chat section. We're not going to be checking that. So the Q&A goes directly to Romeo, and that will really help us. So I am going to introduce Romeo. Are we okay for me to do the introduction here? You're on mute. Okay, well, Romeo, you're still on mute, and I didn't hear what you just said.
Yes, apologies for that. I have just enabled Congressman Huffman's video, and he should be on. So let's confirm that Congressman Huffman can hear us and can share video.
I can hear you, Romeo. It tells me that I cannot start my video because the host hasn't enabled it.
Ah, yes. Okay.
I think I may have just been able to start it. So let's see if I animate here for you. Well. It, let's see. Just not working.
So
we can.
It actually. So on our end, you should be able to show video. It may be that that there's a issue, technical issue on your end. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah,
Great.
I would. If it's all right with you, Congressman, I'd love to introduce you and just get the ball rolling. I know I really want to be respectful of your time. So if that's
Sounds
all right.
great.
Okay, thank you. So Congressman Jared Huffman represents California's 2nd District, which spans the north coast of the state from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Oregon border. He was first elected to Congress in November 2012 and currently serves on the Committee on Natural Resources, the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, and the Select Committee on the Climate Crisis. In the 116th Congress, he chairs the Natural Resources Subcommittee on Water, Oceans, and Wildlife, with jurisdiction over federal water projects, fisheries management, coastal zone and oceans policy, and wildlife and endangered species. Please join me in welcoming United States Representative Jared Huffman. Thank you so much for being here, Congressman.
Well, thank you, Chris and Romeo and everyone else. I see some familiar faces here on the screen, and it's always a pleasure to meet with my local realtors. So I imagine that we're going to be covering some of the familiar subjects that we tend to touch on when we get together. The potential expiration of the National Flood Insurance Program, and the need to continue to have federal support for backing mortgages through Fannie and Freddie, and all sorts of familiar subjects. So I'm happy to dive into any of that if you want. The big picture from Washington is kind of what you see every day. We're not making much progress on a next pandemic response, unfortunately. The politics are kind of grinding down, and the election is coming pretty darn close. So I'm not optimistic that there's going to be another pandemic response, and I'm very disappointed to have to report that. But I am pretty optimistic that we're at least going to find a way to keep government funded. And some of these programs that are set to expire at the end of this month, I think will be part of a clean continuing resolution that just bumps everything along for, maybe 30, 60 days to get us past the election. And I will go back to Washington next week, and we'll sort out, the details of how to make that happen.
That's great. Is there anything you'd like to talk about relating to how things went in terms of PPP funds and small businesses and realtors, and how we were involved in that, how you were involved in that, or possibly any updates out of the Transportation Committee? I know local infrastructure is important here. Anything you'd like to talk about on that?
Yeah, so the PPE program to me is kind of a bittersweet story. I'm certainly glad we were able to push this kind of money out that quickly to help people keep the lights on and keep their workforce intact. But I think it was a deeply flawed program. I know there was a lot of abuse. I know that many folks were encouraged to go grab one of these PPE loans because it was essentially free money, even if they had not seen a revenue downturn. So we had to stand up a program that was really huge, and we had to do it really fast. And unfortunately, the way that it was decided to do that was to rely on banks as the middleman. And I think banks pushed a lot of these loans out to some people that didn't need them. You read about some of the higher profile examples where, large restaurant chains and others, publicly traded companies, ended up having to give the money back, largely out of shame, not because they were legally required to do so. I had some disagreements about a local charter school that got a PPE loan and hadn't lost any revenue at that point. And I know that a lot of other folks were losing all their revenue and were finding it hard to get the PPP. So, it would have been great if we found a better way to push the money to those who really needed it and cut out all the abuses. But on the whole, I am hearing from lots of folks that it helped them get through a really difficult patch. And I'm willing to work on improving it and extending it because, frankly, I think some of the downturn here is going to be with us a while. And that is part of the HEROES Act, as you probably know. We passed that bill almost 3 months ago, and it does extend and expand the PPP program, as well as the unemployment benefits that I think are really important. And I'm glad that we've been able to include contractors and gig workers, and that a lot of realtors have been able to take advantage of that. But I'm real interested to hear your perspective and those of your members on, how it's gone and what we could do better.
Sure, that's great. Yeah, no, and we appreciate having an open dialogue with your office. For those of our members on the call who aren't aware, we have a representative who is a member, Blaine Morris. A lot of you know, who is one of our representatives who interacts with Congressman Huffman's office. So is always bringing feedback to his office. So for all of you members on our call who don't already know, if you are looking to kind of coordinate or ask any questions, we as an association have the ability to have an open line of communication. So, we've been really grateful about that. And kind of on that note, I know, with everything that's going on with COVID-19, I don't know how much other business, Congress has been able to go towards, but do you have any update about, how flood insurance reauthorization is coming, or if that's just kind of another thing kind of down the road, or any updates on that front?
Well, I'm not on the Financial Services Committee, but my understand, I would expect it to be punted. I think it'll be part of this clean extension, along with other things that are set to expire. There's a lot of things that are going to sunset at the end of this month if we don't include them. So my guess is there'll be a short-term extension, and then we're going to tackle that in what will probably be a crazy lame duck session. Chris, you also asked about infrastructure and transportation. The Highway Trust Fund is one of those things that will sunset at the end of this month. And so my guess is we will include that as well as part of a short-term reauthorization, because we don't want to see highway projects and infrastructure slow down right now. I hope that we can quickly turn to playing more offense. We passed a really big and ambitious $1.5 trillion infrastructure package out of the House. And I think that gives you a little bit of a marker of what might happen depending on how the election goes. If we get a new president and a new Senate, I think that infrastructure package is sort of the starting point, and maybe an early starting point for something really big that could be good for jobs and economic recovery early next year.
Excellent, thank you. I had a comment or a question in here about, do you have any comments about what Congress is doing about fighting wildfires, or specifically what's going on with federally managed lands, especially with the recent fires on a lot of the federal lands here, especially here, even with the local Woodward fire?
Yeah, well, we're all paying a lot of attention to that, unfortunately. So what I can tell you, the worst of the fires in my district has been the Walbridge fire in Sonoma County. And there were over 100 homes lost and an awful lot of land, I think pushing close to 60,000 acres now burned, but it's 97% contained, and the last evacuation orders have been lifted. People are getting back into their homes in the Guerneville and other Russian River communities. That is going to be part of a major federal disaster declaration. So that means that there will be FEMA relief for both local government expenses and individuals who lost property. And then those who had to be evacuated can qualify for up to $500, which is not a lot, but it helps them because they had to go out and find emergency housing and things like that for a couple weeks. So we're really busy trying to process all that. The Marin fire out in Point Reyes, thankfully, has been a fraction of that size and has been totally limited to the fairly remote parts of the Point Reyes National Seashore. I think there's only a single structure, which was an outbuilding for the Park Service, that has been lost. But a lot of smoke and certainly a lot of anxiety in Marin County. I know there's been some second guessing of how that fire was fought because the smoke has been with us a long time. I'm not one of those to second guess. I think they've done a great job of keeping the fire in areas where it can't break out and affect some of the communities out there. And unfortunately, given how stretched our resources are, I think some of these fires are just going to slowly burn for weeks, and there's really not much of an alternative to that. What that means is there's going to be an air quality problem for all of us that will certainly be with us through the month of September. And we could have other fires that add to and complicate all of that as well.
Thank you for that. Romeo, is there any questions that I'm missing? I'll let you jump in, but
there is a question about the payroll tax, but I think it's a good opportunity. It's a good opportunity to ask the congressman if you know of any action coming towards payroll tax or any other taxes that would affect small business people.
Well,
And
I
specifically
have, yeah,
Social Security.
thanks for the question, Romeo. So I haven't voted on anything that would affect payroll taxes, but as you know, the president has sort of maybe overused his authority, some would argue, to create a little bit of a temporary payroll tax holiday for employers with the trap door that they were going to have to pay it all back a few months down the road. And there's all sorts of complications, I'm told, as Treasury rolls out the guidance on how to take advantage of that for employers who want to do it. I leave that to, your individual members as to whether that's a good idea or a bad idea. But I think the idea that somehow that obligation will be forgiven down the road is not going to happen. To forgive that payroll tax obligation would blow a big hole in Social Security and Medicare trust funds. I think many of my colleagues believe it would reward kind of rogue and extra legal activity by the president. So anyone who takes advantage of that should do it with their eyes wide open, I believe.
Okay.
Thank you for answering that. I guess we have a few more minutes here, so I think I'll ask, see if you have a comment on, you could weigh in on any eviction moratoriums. Obviously, there's eviction moratoriums that were in place in Marin County, the state of California, and now with the president's recent executive order. Do you have any, comments or updates about what you're seeing coordination in our area?
Well, I know that there's a huge problem. Some of the numbers I've seen are staggering. The number of folks who are missing rent payments and at risk of eviction, and you all can imagine the economic dislocation if we just start to evict people, at that scale. It's pretty shocking in terms of what it would do just for the hardship to all those families and homelessness, and obviously there's massive disruption and a burden on the real estate side of things as well. So, I hate to keep coming back to the HEROES Act, but that is the last thing that we've been able to act on, and it does include an extension of protections for tenants and for mortgage foreclosures. And we include funding on both sides of the equation. You can't just say no evictions and no foreclosures and expect landlords and financiers to eat the cost. So that's the piece where the politics tends to break down. We have not been able to negotiate a deal that provides that kind of monetary relief. And so, I'm glad that, we have these other protections that are falling into place. But I think what's going to happen is at the federal level, because this is a national emergency. It is a pandemic that affects the entire country. I think the federal government is going to have to step forward and backfill financially for some of these impacts for both landlords and for the mortgage folks.
Thank you, Congressman. And I know you're quite involved with things relating to the Committee on Climate Crisis, and I have a question here from a member that I often think about is, do you foresee anything in the future where to maybe offer new incentives to homeowners for things like incentivizing solar panels, upgrading appliances, electric cars, charging, and things of that nature?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Definitely. There is more of that in our future. And, the good news is as we look at more incentives coming, and there's already some really good incentives. And I'm someone who, finally got in the game and just got an electric car, just put solar on my house, and I don't even have a very good solar profile. I'm a north-facing house on a slope, but it actually works, and mine is going to pay off in 6 years. And when you add in all of the incentives and the rebates and the tax credits for both the car and the solar, it is good now, and it's going to get better. I'm pretty confident of that. So we know that the EV tax credit for the companies like Tesla and Chevy that have been really successful with certain models, they've run out of their tax credits, and I think we need to give them more headroom to keep selling zero emission vehicles. And we certainly need to push on the clean car standards that have helped bring some of these nice new zero emission vehicles to market. That's been in a little bit of limbo these last couple of years because of litigation between California and the Trump administration, but that's going to settle out in favor of clean cars. I'm 100% confident of that. So I really think we're just very close to turning the corner and doing some really exciting things on all of those fronts. And if you are the one piece I would say that's still maybe a year away from really being attractive is battery storage. It still isn't penciling out very well. And so we need to create some incentives, and we need to work with that industry to try to bring the cost down. But when you do that, I mean, that's also responsive to these power disruptions that we're seeing and some of the fire resiliency challenges we face in our state. So we got to keep heading down that road, I believe, and I think we will.
Absolutely. So I think we have time for one last question. I'll let you get going here, but I think, this is a good one. So many homeowners and property owners in your district over the last several years. And I'm just curious kind of any feedback you have on fire insurance availability and cost limit measures or, things, because this is obviously not going away. It's something that's going to be top of mind, especially for real estate transactions, but just property owners.
Yeah, it is of course, it's an obvious question, and I don't have a great answer, Chris. I mean, this is likely to come from the state level, but you're right. Four consecutive years where, as I look around my district, we have just been hammered by some huge fires, and I don't ever remember anything like that. And I think there's every reason to believe that we will continue to see this situation. So I think the state of California is going to have to probably treat this the same way they treated earthquake insurance and figure out, it's one of the things the government will probably have to step in and solve, or we're gonna lose fire insurance.
Absolutely. Well, Congressman Huffman, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I'm sorry we weren't able to work out the video. We will take that on our end, and we'll make sure we can have it better next time. But we really appreciate you being here. And
well, you didn't miss much, Chris. They say I have a face for radio anyway, so it's probably better for everybody involved. It's a pleasure to visit with you. I always appreciate my time and my relationship with the realtors, and hope you all stay safe. Take care.
All right, thank you, Congressman. All righty, and thanks everyone for bearing with us for not having. Some of you are seeing various different screens and things right now. Romeo, just so you were aware, we have a shared screen on for you. So now we're going to go on to our second sponsor to speak before we get on to NAR President Vince Malta. So I'd like to invite our sponsor, Rafael Betances of HomeGuard Management, to say a few words. Rafael, welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris and Romeo, for allowing me to be here with you guys. I have recently taken over HomeGuard for the Marine Territory, North Bay. Just want to let you guys know I'm here to be a resource, and I am really happy to, happy and excited to be here today and represent HomeGuard. Just a couple quick things on HomeGuard. HomeGuard is your #1 stop shop for all your inspections and home warranty needs. You're able to order all 5 services with us in just one simple phone call. We do termite, we do home and roof inspections, as well as natural hazard disclosures and home warranty service. And for those of you who are lucky enough to have clients with pools, we now do pool inspections as well. Our team is highly presentable and very, very, very equipped with professionally uniformed inspectors, marked company vehicles, iPads, and drones. All of our technicians are FAA certified, so we're able to perform services like aerial chimney and roof inspections, all in a safely manner and up to par with industry latest technologies. And as a plus to that, if you are to order an inspection with HomeGuard, you'll get $25 off automatically on your home warranty services. Once again, your territory now has a rep that's directly and local to help you out. And my name is Rafael Betances, and feel free to reach out anytime.
Thank you so much, Raphael. Really appreciate your sponsorship and support of the association during this time.
Thank you.
All right. Well, so now I'm very excited to introduce the National Association of Realtors President, Vince Malta, about building bridges. So he's our keynote speaker and a friend of a lot of you from San Francisco, Vince Malta. After many years of service to the industry, Vince now serves as the 2020 president of the National Association of Realtors. On the national level, Vince has testified before Congress multiple times on behalf of NAR on issues such as the impact of increasing conforming loan limits, insurance reform, and housing policy. He served on the NAR Board of Directors since 2002 and was the 2010 and 2011 Vice President of Government Affairs. Please join me in welcoming NAR President Vince Malta.
Thank you, President Chris, and hello to my friends across the Golden Gate Bridge. It's great to be with my Bay Area neighbors today, even if circumstances prevent us from gathering in person for now. I know this is a difficult time for many of you as fires burn and evacuation orders force some from their homes. We've had quite a bit of smoke at our house. I was riding my bike this morning, and I know that Chris pointed out how orange the sun was, and that was so very true. We've had this going on for weeks. But I guess our problems really are rather minor compared to what some others are going through. So our thoughts and prayers are with them. With all the challenges that we're facing in 2020, it's more important now than ever that we come together in whatever form we can manage to share both information and encouragement. In many ways, the Realtor team has never felt stronger. If there has been a silver lining, it's these communication tools that really have catapulted our ability to reach each other more frequently and also be able to work through some of the challenges in our business as we're deemed essential services so that we could serve our clients. So I think that I don't want to use the word new normal because that has been so overused. This is normal. This is going to be a part of the National Association of Realtors as we reach out to our members. There'll be always a virtual component, I hope with a personal component, so that we can continue to engage more of our membership. And let me just give you an example of that. Back in our mid-year meetings in May, we normally draw about 9,500 members to Washington, D.C. to march on Capitol Hill and do our advocacy work. This year, we had 28,000 registered virtually. And that's huge. That is triple the level of engagement that we've had previously. So we're going to find the right balance in moving forward, and we'll work that out. But I think the goal is that we need to make sure that our members are engaged with this very, very fluid environment. This is what the congressman really pointed out as to what's going on in Washington, D.C. this morning. I'd like to take a moment to say a special thank you to several people. First, your Marin Association of Realtors President, Chris Backer, your CEO, Romeo Arrieta, and the Marin Association of Realtors Board of Directors. And I heard Blaine Morris's name out there this morning, and thank you for your work with the Congressman. I want to thank you all for your commitment and service during this unprecedented year. I don't think any of us asked for some of what has happened in 2020, but we could not have asked for better Marin Association of Realtors leadership during this year. So again, thank you on behalf of the National Association of Realtors. Your theme of building bridges could not be more fitting for this time. As leaders in our communities, realtors play a critical role in building bridges, both in getting our country to the other side of a global pandemic and in moving our communities toward equality, inclusion, and acceptance. At NAR, one of our priorities for this year has been to continue to address equality and affordability in housing. NAR must act as a leader, not a follower, on this issue for our industry and our country, to help more families build wealth through the American dream of home ownership. Earlier this year, The NAR leadership team passed a Fair Housing Action Plan called ACT, which stands for Accountability, Culture Change, and Training. Let me tell you some of the things we're working on under this plan. We're providing recommendations and best practices for fair housing enforcement and education for state AEs who've identified a need to strengthen realtor licensure laws in their state. Further, last summer, we recognized in creating a new Fair Housing Policy Committee. Another thing we've done is hired Brian Green as Director of Fair Housing Policy. Brian served at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for nearly 30 years, where he was the top career official overseeing enforcement of the Federal Fair Housing Act. We're also pivoting our Strategic Thinking Advisory Committee, which we call STAC, to make NAR the leader in addressing racial inequality. This includes finding ways to increase diversity in our membership and proposing new policies and programs to advance diversity in our industry. We announced a partnership with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Equality of Opportunity Initiative as part of a broad national effort to examine economic inequality and advance economic inclusion in America. We worked with the Urban Institute and the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, or NAREB, last year to develop a 5-point framework to reduce the racial homeownership gap. This includes promoting a more equitable and accessible housing finance system through a number of solutions, including incorporating alternative data such as rental payments into credit history, counting diverse sources of income to qualify for a mortgage, and increasing competition in credit scoring and evaluation models, and increasing types of and access to down payment assistance programs. And just last month, we hosted our annual appraisal summit virtually, which focused on fair housing issues in appraisals. And I know some of you have seen some of the articles that have come out in Florida regarding a couple that felt that they were discriminated because they were appraised at one value and they asked for reappraisal. They took down pictures of African-American family members, came back, the house was appraised 40% higher than the initial appraisal. So we're looking at these things and we're looking to address them. We launched a pivotal extension of our That's Who We Are ad campaign, focusing on realtors' commitment to fair housing. And you can find and incorporate some of those in your own marketing materials at that'swhoweare.realtor. And you could use that within the Photify app. And we have a number of ways you can join us in this important work as well. And the first thing that I'd recommend is invite you to watch and share NAR's video on implicit bias. The strategies it presents can help all realtors override bias to convey respect, ensure fairness, and improve business relationships. Personally, I've gotten so much from this video. It reinforced that change starts with me and each and every one of us. So really encourage you to look at that video. And you can find that at nar.realtor. Just search for the implicit bias video and it'll come right up. You can also obtain the At Home with Diversity certification, which is designed to help realtors work with and within a rapidly changing multicultural market. More information can be found at nar.realtor, again, under the Education tab. And most importantly, I think we must continue to listen and learn and commit to creating a safe environment within the realtor family to have these discussions, allowing us to take and make informed action together. I really, social media is something that you really need to be cautious in how we address people through this type of dialogue. Let's not attack people, but let's discuss ideas. And so that's why I say let's create that safe environment with our realtor family so that we can continue to have those discussions. In addition to building more inclusive communities, realtors are leading our communities through the COVID-19 pandemic. NAR partnered with a research firm on a series of how surveys to explore how home buyers and sellers expect home sales transactions to be handled in this new environment. About half of buyers and sellers said that during the pandemic, relying on a real estate professional when searching for or selling a home is much more important than ever before. And this is a great opportunity for us to express even further our value proposition. So let's face it, all over the country, we have a shortage of inventory. And one of the things we have is we have sellers on the fence, not convinced that they can actually do this transaction safely and that they're going to get their price. So this is a time that we really can express our value and get some of those properties on the market. As people are making decisions now that they've been in their home for 6 months and working out of their home for 6 months, that maybe where they're at is not where they want to be next year. So we're certainly seeing that in some of the urban markets. And I'm sure that you're seeing a lot of people from San Francisco trying to move to Marin, just as people from Manhattan are trying to move out to Long Island and some suburbs of New Jersey. So this phenomenon probably will go on for quite a while as long as we're enjoying those low interest rates. So I want to thank you for everything you're doing to serve your clients safely and effectively in these ever-changing conditions. Because of your conscientious efforts, the housing market is on a strong upward trajectory. That trajectory is so strong, in fact, that home sales are even higher than they were before the pandemic, which seems absolutely amazing, especially when you go back to the dark days of April. Just recently, NAR announced that existing home sales jumped nearly 25% from June to July. Pending home sales made a record comeback in May and continued to grow in June and July as well, making 3 consecutive months of growth. Real estate is a huge driver of economic activity, and our industry makes up nearly 1/5 of the entire economy. So imagine for a moment that you were in the airline industry, hospitality, the hotel, restaurant industry, how long it's going to take for those industries really to come back in full force. That's why it's so important that we work and strive, no matter what happens to this pandemic, as it ebbs and flows, that we're considered essential and that we adapt to whatever it is we need to do to serve our clients in a safe and effective manner. So while you're looking out for your clients and your business, NAR is looking out for you in Washington. And over these past several months, realtor advocacy has been nothing short of extraordinary. In my 43 years in real estate, I have never seen so much done at the local, state, and national level for our members than we've seen in these last several months. Many members of Congress have said that they hear from realtors more than any other group. That means we're doing something right. And today, this work is more important than ever. NAR secured major wins for realtors in COVID-19 relief legislation, and we continue to advocate for additional relief measures for our industry, as you were talking through with your congressman. Realtors made sure that independent contractors and those living on commission-based income, that's all of us, were eligible for SBA loans, unemployment assistance, and paid sick and family leave. Now, let me stress, this was the first time ever that independent contractors were eligible for stimulus funds. Realtor advocacy made history. We also stood up for consumers, supporting mortgage forbearance measures that allow borrowers of government-backed mortgages to request up to 360 days of payment forbearance. For many of you that were in practice back in 2009, 10, and 11, you know how important it is to keep people in their home, especially through a pandemic. And we urged Congress to take quick action to appropriate more funds for the Paycheck Protection Program and EIDL programs. NAR, and with NAR support, Congress passed and the President signed a Paycheck Protection Program corrections bill. And we know that there's more work that needs to be done in this area, and there's more on the table. But these measures have gone a long way to help our members. And we've had detailed FAQs on these relief programs, along with a full collection of COVID-19 guidance, just go to our main website again. It's nar.realtor/coronavirus. Just go to nar.realtor and search whatever it is you're looking for, and you should hopefully find what you're, again, looking for. And there may be some more help on the horizon. As your congressman pointed out, it is going to be difficult as to whether it's going to be combined with the budget, whether flood and other programs are going to be incorporated with it, but we are hoping that there is no lapse of those programs, and we're still working for long-term solutions to those problems, rather than just the quick fixes and just kicking the ball down the street for another 3 months. But again, very difficult situation. It seems that the pandemic relief programs really are front and center. So what we're currently working on is, I think some of you have heard of it, the Bipartisan American Dream Down Payment Act, which is currently gaining traction in the US Senate with strong support from NAR. And it aims to address barriers to first-time ownership brought on by the pandemic. The legislation would allow states to establish American Dream payment accounts that function much like the popular 529 education savings accounts. Prospective homeowners would be able to contribute savings to the account, and that would grow tax-free. Account holders could use these proceeds to help cover a down payment and other housing costs. And as we said, we're still working on a nationwide remote online notarization law so that online closings can take place in all 50 states, including here in California. Liability protections for businesses that reopen that follow federal and state guidelines. And I want to just kind of emphasize that we want to create protections so we get the economy open again. The concern is liability. How do we go in and out of buildings? What are the protocols within certain businesses? We want to provide safe harbors for these businesses to open and provide guidelines so that they can open without fear that they're going to be liable summarily. We're also working for housing relief for renters, including emergency rental assistance, as well as relief, and very stressed, companion relief for rental housing providers. So we do have an issue with the president's order through the CDC that creates a countrywide moratorium on evictions till the end of this year, but there was no companion relief for property owners. So we're urging, and will continue to urge, that either Congress correct that at the national level, or some other way that we're going to work with the administration. Expansion of forbearance and unemployment assistance, and reforms to 1031-like kind exchanges and opportunity zone programs to continue the deadlines for both of those programs. Elimination of the marriage penalty and the SALT deduction, which quite frankly affects a lot of Californians, and create other homeownership tax incentives like I referred to earlier.
President Vince?
Yes.
I'm really glad you brought up the PUA, because that's something that is directly linked to the lobbying that NAR did with using the dollars from our realtor membership. I was gonna bring up the first time homeowner tax credit, because I think that's kind of something that's long overdue. I'm so glad that you guys are starting to champion that, getting some support for that. I did have a couple of questions here relating to, as you know, California. I know a lot of conversations at CAR are relating to homeowners insurance and fire insurance. And is there any discussions at NAR with the insurance industry on a national level relating to, support to make sure that insurance is more readily available, and so there's not as many hurdles? Is there any conversations being had about that?
So right, we're having in the broader context of disaster insurance, okay, in relation to fires and flood, et cetera. So it's a much bigger conversation that, quite frankly, is in the too hard box, and we're continuing and pushing it. But right now, COVID-19 relief measures are taking it front and center. The unfortunate thing is that the need is going to continue to grow, as we see in California. We're not even in our fire season, and look where we're at, okay? So the issue is going to be too large for Congress to ignore. But I will say this, not much of anything is going to happen unless there's a vehicle to make it happen, like the budget. And I think the congressman said they didn't want to link it to that, but they may have to, any relief measure. So we're going to have to look for that vehicle. And it's probably going to have to happen after the election, because no one wants to give either side credit for any program at this point. So I think next year will be the heavy lifting year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted everyone to recognize the NAR implicit bias video. Romeo posted that in the chat. So there's a link to that from NAR's website. So thank you for bringing that up, President Vince, because that's super important. You know, I want to be extra respectful of your time. So, you know, if you had any last words you wanted to say, if anyone else wants to jump in. I don't see any other questions right now for President Malta, but yeah, I just wanted to thank you for being here. And if there's any other words you wanted to share on your way.
Well, I just want to thank the Marin Association and your members for continuing to build bridges day after day. And so while many things seem uncertain, one thing is for sure, that realtors are building bridges that will lead this country, including our great state of California and Marin, through the recovery to a more prosperous future. And I look forward to the day in the near future that we can be together in person, as we said earlier, and recognize just how much we've achieved this year against all odds. So be well, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, President Vince. And Romeo, just before I let you go, Romeo, is there anything that I missed relating to any Q&As or anything relevant that would be a good thing to get President Malta's comments on?
So we have a question. I do want to make a comment that our first three questions were all about insurance. So I know that's something definitely on California's mind. The question right now comes from Anna Frost. Given the obvious effects of climate change, what is NAR doing to promote green building?
Okay. So I created a presidential advisory group earlier this year to look at that in the scope of extreme weather events, and that's what we're having. And so NAR wants to be, again, the leader and creating policies so that we can deal with creating properties and identifying properties that are affected by climate change, extreme weather events. So more to come on that. And as you know, NAR has a long history with this. We are the first green building in all of Washington, D.C. And so we'll be very much trying to support and lead our members through this. So there's no doubt that there will be legislation on this in the near future as well. And we want to make sure that we have our input to provide a clearer path as to what's going to be the most effective in moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you, Romeo. So not seeing any other comments, I'll just thank you again, President Malta. We really appreciate your time for carving out some time this morning. I know you were here at the start of the meeting, so super, super grateful for you being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Be well.
You as well. Okay. Feel free to take off if you'd like. There we go. Let's move right along here to the actual formal part of our presentation. I'm grateful to have both those speakers here. And I would like to, so our next sponsor will be after we do our official meeting business. So this is going to officially call the annual election meeting of the Marin Association of Realtors to order. The purpose of this meeting is to elect the 2021 officers and directors. Before we do that, I want to take the opportunity to recognize our 2020 officers and directors. These are realtors that you all know and used to see out there on Broker Tour. We have Charlotte Bozell, Kathleen Clifford, Barry Crotty, Bob Donlin, Elizabeth Green Kilgore, Logan Link, Mark Machado, Matt McPhee, Mike Milano, Carolyn Morin, Gary Newman, Beth Cezanne, Lori Shank, Scott Woods, and Kathy Youngling. You know, I'm just so grateful to have them to support me as on this strange year. And, you know, we've had to completely have all Zoom board of directors meetings. Thank you so much for your service to our association and the industry and our community. It's really been a pleasure working with all of you. So in accordance with the bylaws of the Marin Association of Realtors, only Marin Realtors may vote. So various individuals have been nominated for office by the nominating committee. And under our bylaws, realtors not nominated had the opportunity to seek to have their name placed on the ballot by having a petition signed by at least 5% of the realtor members eligible to vote. We did not receive any such petitions. So at this time, I'd like to recognize and thank our Leadership Development and Nominating Committee for interviewing members and people with their hats in the ring to be on the future board of directors. I'd like to thank Chair Mark Machado, member Anna Frost, Jill Hill, Jim Stafford, Carolyn Svensson, and Kathy Youngling. We met over 3 or 4 Zoom meetings to interview our candidates. A lot of great people coming through the ranks here at the association, and I'm so thankful for that volunteerism. So thank you also to Mark Machado and the committee for working together to submit this amazing slate of nominees. So with that, I would like to present to you our officer nominees for 2021. So officers are President-elect, Treasurer, and Secretary. So for our nominees for 2021 for President-elect, we have Logan Link. For Treasurer, we have Beth Cezanne. And for Secretary, we have Carolyn Morin. And for the 2021 Board of Directors, we have Michelle Dodd, Margie Esmerin Smith, Drew House, Mike Jackson, who will be completing an unexpired term, as well as Phoebe Reyes. So thank you all for interviewing and having your hat in the ring to volunteer for this position. You know, our association is grateful to have you. So with that, I want to remind everyone that only Marin Realtor members in good standing may vote. So I would, at this point in time, I'll ask for a motion to approve the 2021 slate of officers and directors as presented by the nominating committee to the members. Please feel free to do so in the chat window. So if I could have a motion and a second in the chat. It looks like I have a motion. Could I have a second and a second? That's great. Awesome. Thank you for your participation. So with that, I would now, you should see a poll on your screen. So the motion to approve the 2021 slate of officers and directors as presented by the nominating committee, please log in and vote. Wow, this is working really well. Good job, Romeo. And good job, everyone.
Okay, I'm going to give it a second or 2 more, and then I'll end the poll. Okay.
All right. So with that, the motion carries. This is a little different than being all in person and getting to kind of give a nice little applause. But ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of introducing you to your incoming officers and directors for 2021. I would say please join us remotely on Tuesday, December 8th at 9:30 in the morning for the Marin Realtors Installation and Awards Holiday Celebration. So you can look for details for that in the future from the Marin Realtors Rundown. And we'll hopefully put together another good slate of a video chat for you on there, because I think we'll definitely be in a Zoom mode in December. So this concludes the election of officers and directors. So now the vote on revisions for the Marin Realtors bylaws. This is the second piece of business that we need participation on. So this is for our program today, and the vote is the proposed changes to our bylaws, which reflect extensive discussions that we've had during the course of this pandemic with emergency board meetings, budget committee meetings, review and approval by the Marin Realtors bylaws, Presidential Advisory Group, which I'd like to thank Katie Beacock, Mark Machado, Gary Newman, and Mary Kay Yamamoto, and the board of directors. The Marin Realtors members received various communications that summarize, so every one of you received many communications that summarize the proposed 2020 bylaws changes, including the rationale and explanations for these changes, along with links to the full documents and redline version on the Marin Realtors website. In fact, the various invitations for this meeting included this information as well. So many of these changes are in accordance with the CAR and NAR model bylaws, which come down every year. And then there are many updates for the way that we conduct business today, including shifting the dues billing cycle to January, which we had discussed earlier this year when we voted to authorize the credit, the $118 credit to all of your dues billing. So with that, do I hear a motion to approve the 2020 bylaws changes as presented? If you could type in a chat a motion and a second, just as we did before. I see a motion and I see a second. So once again, Romeo will be put together a poll. So I would encourage you to please respond based on the vote in the poll. Wow, this is awesome. Good job, everyone.
Okay, I'm gonna give it about 3 more seconds.
Okay. So with that, the motion carries. Thank you all for your participation in that, and this concludes the bylaws election. So at this time, before I offer some final announcements, giving you guys an update about kind of what we've been doing here locally, for you, our members, and in the community, I'd like to introduce our final sponsor, Mary Jo LaFay of Mutual Omaha Mortgage. Mary Jo.
Hi. Let's see, it says I cannot start my video. Can you turn that on for me?
Yes, Romeo will, well, I can have Romeo do his best.
This will be the
You
world's...
should be able to do it now, I think, as your
Okay,
co-host.
great. Let's see. So start video. Okay, great. Hi, everybody.
Good job.
So I'm going to do a really quick PowerPoint here, just to give you an idea of what I've been doing. I just helping 3 clients right now downsize from Southern Marin to Novato and Sonoma County. And so I'd like to show you how I'm doing that. Let's see, here is my screen. Great. So can everybody see that?
It's a yes. Thank you,
Okay,
Mary.
great. So this is how I'm helping local people here in Marin County and all over California and the country, but mostly Marin County, to maximize their retirement. So everybody's probably familiar with the HECM for purchase. The nickname for that, we call it H4P. Remember that, H for P. And it helps boomers, anybody over 62, increase their purchasing power. So if they're downsizing or right sizing and they want to buy a new home, let's say you have a client that their budget is $850,000, but of course, everything you show them for $850,000, they turn up their nose and you realize they really need to buy something for about 1.1 or 1.2. So there's an easy way to do that. Let's see here. So the HECM for purchase can help you help your buyers, if they're over 62, spend about on average $300,000 to $1 million more than they think they can afford. That means they can buy the home they really want instead of maybe something not at the quality of or standards that they're used to. And they can do this without taking on a monthly mortgage payment, without leaving the geographic area where you can serve them and earn 2 commissions, one for selling their home and one for helping them buy a home, and without using all of their net proceeds from their larger home you list and sell for them, so they can keep a little bit for their retirement. And you're probably well aware from talking to your clients that Americans today are retiring with about 70 to 80% of their net worth being held in the form of housing wealth and home equity. Most retirees don't have enough saved to last a 30-year retirement, and most of them are retiring with mortgage debt that they didn't plan on having. So this is my last slide. Give you a quick example of someone I helped recently selling their home for 1.6. So their realtor listed and sold their home, and they had brought this client to one of my Left Bank seminars. You probably all have received invitations to that before. When they sold their home, they paid off a $600,000 mortgage that was draining their retirement accounts to pay that every month. They paid their sale fees. They did not have any capital gain taxes because they had rented the house out for a couple years during the last 5 years. And that left them $904,000 to buy their next house. But they couldn't find anything they wanted. Everything they wanted was closer to 1.1. So they looked at the HECM proceeds. I was able to give them an H4P loan for $438,000 towards the purchase price. So that left them only paying $662,000 cash out of their net proceeds from the sale of their other home, which was $904,000, which left them $242,000 to beef up their retirement accounts. So not only did they get rid of their mortgage payment, they were able to stay in Marin County, and they increased their monthly income by putting more into their investment accounts. So if anybody would like to know more about this, you can call me. I'll do a one-on-one or a webinar for your office. And I can talk to you also about how your clients can combine the 121. That's their ability to get $500,000 tax-free without paying capital gain when they sell their primary residence, with the 1031, so that they can sell a $2 or $3 million home they paid $30,000 for and not pay any capital gain taxes. Thanks a lot for anybody that paid attention. And we have a couple questions now, and I'm going to be giving away gift certificates to Left Bank, where I used to hold my weekly luncheons. And anybody that answers one of these 3 questions correctly, the first to answer in the chat box, will get a $50 gift certificate to Left Bank. And I have 3 of those to give away today. Chris, you ready for me to ask the questions?
Yeah, please feel free to go.
All right, so what percent of net worth, what percent of a retiree's net worth on average, American retirees, what percent of their net worth do they hold in the form of home equity?
Oh, wow. So I'm looking, and it looks like the first answer comes from Matt Hughes, and that's 70%.
Very good. Okay, who gets that one?
That's Matt Hughes.
Okay, if somebody will need to give me their information so that I know how to find them after this. Okay, question number 2. What is the nickname for HECM for Purchase?
Okay, so I'll start. I am amazed at how quick on the keyboard some of our members are. Carolyn Morin has the first answer. That's H4P.
Whoa, yes. Carolyn Morin knows the H4P well. She's done her homework. Okay, and the third question is, where was I holding my weekly lunch and learns for realtors and financial advisors before COVID hit?
Also, everybody's quick on the answer. Phoebe Reyes answers Left Bank.
Yes. Okay. Can you write those names down just so I make sure and have them?
Yeah, we can get those to you. Absolutely.
Great. Okay. Terrific. Congratulations, everyone. Everybody obviously had their coffee today, so that's good. Take good care.
Thank you for your support, Mary Jo. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. So, Romeo, can you pull that off the screen? There we go. So I just wanted to thank you guys, everyone, for bearing with us. I wanted to just leave you with a few announcements, some things that are coming across me and Romeo's desk, things that we're seeing here in the county. And, you know, once again, take this as an opportunity to tell every one of you, if there's anything coming up with a transaction, anything coming up with a client of yours relating to, you know, private property rights and something going on in the cities, don't hesitate to reach out. Send me an email, send me a text, give me a call. You know, I really applaud everyone for giving me a call at the beginning of once the pandemic started, because you didn't know what was going on with the regulations and things like that. And that's what my job is. And that's what Romeo's job is here at the association, to make your job hopefully easier. So I appreciate all of you for always reaching out. So what we've been seeing these days is, and it's from, you know, notifications from members, we're keeping our eye on scams. Please be aware. Obviously, email phishing scams, we know the importance of wire fraud, but Craigslist fake rental scams, they've resurfaced. You know, we've had some members reach out. I mean, you know, there's sometimes with that, you know, there's not things that Romeo and I can directly do, but what I will tell you is Romeo is tied into the people at CAR who have a lot of resources that are greater than ours, and with in order to kind of try to offer some insight or strategies to help. So you know, so just be aware of, you know, of things being spoofed and email fraud. It's starting to pick up again. Anytime there is a disaster, that's the sort of stuff that comes up. The CAR has a disaster relief fund, which does have funds available for wildfire recovery. You know, once again, these are housing assistance grants that are available to those who have lost their home due to the recent wildfires, as well as employees of realtor firms who've been directly affected by fires. So, I mean, I think it's awesome that CAR is staying, you know, and helping people throughout the state and linking a good name to the realtor brand. So just so you guys may have heard, you know, there is we are, the board of directors here in Marin, as well as CAR, is supporting Proposition 19. This is the Home Protection for Seniors, Severely Disabled Families, and Victims of Wildfire or Natural Disasters Act. This is a reiteration of what a CAR sponsored initiative that came about 2 years ago under Prop 10, which did not pass. This has been tweaked a little, but the general underlying message is similar. This would provide housing relief for homeowners who are 55 or older, people with severe disabilities, or victims of natural disasters and wildfire, by allowing them to transfer their property tax base to a replacement home that better fits their needs. And it's not going to be with the same limits that we have with Prop 60 and 90, which limits you to transfer your property tax basis at equal or lesser value. This one, beginning April 1st, 2021, would authorize any owner of a primary residence in California of 55 years or older, or if you're severely disabled or a victim of a wildfire, to transfer the taxable value of their primary residence to a replacement primary residence located anywhere in the state, regardless of the location or the value of the replacement primary residence. It does limit this. You can only do this transfer 3 times, but we believe this is really going to get people who are sitting in houses that are, you know, 2,000 square foot houses. It's a single person who aren't moving because they have a property tax that is super low. And previously, like I said, you could only transfer your tax to a qualifying county. That was Prop 90, and there's only 10 counties that accept that. And you had to buy a house that was similar or less. With this, you can actually buy up, so it won't hinder people from wanting to transfer that. In order to calculate this taxable value of replacement, basically you're going to add the difference between the full cash value of your original residence and then the full cash value of the replacement primary residence. So you're going to take your current low property tax and then whatever the difference is between, if you buy up, whatever the tax on that is, and you're going to add it on. So it'll be a sort of a blended rate instead of just you buy up and now you pay a really big hit. That's pretty much the basis of what this property tax measure states. And you know, you can really make a difference by voting yes on Proposition 19 on November 3rd, spreading the word to you and your clients. There's a website, carhomecoalition.com. Romeo will type that into the chat. We also are going to schedule, hopefully Romeo and I will be coming around to your various broker meetings so that we can talk more about this, give you more information to disseminate. We really think that this is going to have a real positive effect. Whenever I hear from you, our members, or at our Government Affairs Committee meeting, I hear about how property owners, they're just not moving because of the low tax value. They would like to move to be closer to family, but it would completely change their budget, and they can't find another house that's worth less. So I think this is going to be a really positive proposition. And right now it's pulling very well, and basically with little to no opposition, whereas last time, the measure was different, and it didn't pull as well. So lastly, which I think is on a top of mind for a lot of you, is we're monitoring various regulation changes due to the COVID era regulations and how they affect real estate. As you all know, dating back to March, Romy and I and our staff are constantly in contact with the Marin County health officials, trying to adapt to what those regulations were. But what's happening right now is we're trying to work with all the towns and cities to adapt for their resale inspections. I really thank a lot of our members for giving me a phone call or shooting an email or getting their managers or the legal teams from the brokerages involved, based on what each city is doing for their resale inspections. We are having some serious regulatory issues. For example, Tiburon and Mill Valley telling the realtor to perform the inspections themselves, taking on liability, making us go out there with basically an electronic outlet tester, asking us to climb under houses. This does not fall into the scope of our realtor duty. We are, by licensed in the state of California, we are not licensed to perform contractor duties. And so, I really appreciate the realtors who have spoken up about this and put their foot down, because this is given, so Romeo has now reached out to many of these municipalities, explained to them that they just can't operate. They just can't operate in a bubble without consultation with the stakeholders, and that's us, that's you. And frankly, after starting a dialogue, they kind of realize what they're asking is a bit ridiculous. So, we're just constantly trying to keep that dialogue going. So please don't hesitate to tell me something strange that's happened with a resale inspection. We are really desperately trying to make sure that, not knowing how long COVID-19 regulations will be in effect, we need to adapt, and we need to represent you, our members, to the best we can. And the best way we can do that is you reach out. So that's the job of our association. And Romeo and I have been attending meetings with city officials, and we're just trying to get better. Lastly, on that note, I want to thank everyone who is, abiding by the PPE guidelines with proper face masks, wiping down surfaces. But I just want to plead with you. We continuously we've heard from home inspectors, very, very reputable home inspectors who've reached out personally to us, reached out to brokerages, saying that they've been put in places that they believe is unsafe. We don't want, if they decide to stop working, then all of a sudden we're going to be in a real difficult position. So I just want to take this opportunity to let you know that, I know you can't control your clients and how they act, but there are a lot of things that you can control, and you are a steward of real estate laws just as much as you are health and safety procedures here in the county. And we just need to make sure that our clients are educated, because right now we really want everyone to be safe. That's the first and foremost. We obviously want to process real estate transactions and make sure our buyers are in, or our sellers can go. But it was an eye-opening experience to get phone calls from some of our most well-regarded inspectors and the concern they had. So, I just wanted to really encourage everyone to stay safe, stay following all the procedures, and employ your clients that they need to follow those protocols as well. So with that, thank you all for your attendance. Thank you for your attention and for your support. And please be well, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon, and don't hesitate to reach out. Romeo, with that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting.